All right, ladies, if you have just not been feeling yourself lately and just need a lifeline, this podcast is a must listen. This is Mariza Snyder. She is the girlfriend that you would send an audio text note to on those days when you just need a little bit of humor, support. She also happens to be a hormone expert. She is a best-selling author. She's a fellow Hay House author. She has an incredible way of simplifying information to help us move the needle in our health. She's got a great new book coming out that any woman in perimenopause who is on the other side of menopause has got to grab, and she loves community just as much as I do. I can't wait for you to hear this one. Enjoy.
And I was like, how is it that I'm still back here again? And I was like, it's how you do it. You know, you're choosing one path or you're choosing the other. You're choosing health span versus, burnout.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to. I didn't even know how to, that level of pain all the time. And to be the kind of mom I wanted to be. Kind of at my worst place, I just need to escape from this. Everything in my life, including motherhood, hinges on how vibrant and healthy I am. Because right now I can't do any of it. The ultimate longevity hack is to walk with your besties. Walk with your girls, movement and girls.
All right, Dr. Mariza, very excited for this conversation and for my audience to get to know you even better.
Yay, I'm so happy to be here.
So I came across your page online on socials, and I was instantly like, I want to have this woman on, and I want to tell you why, because I think this plants the seed for like the feeling of this conversation that I want women to walk away with. I saw you bringing humor to the perimenopause and menopause conversation. I saw you bringing lightness and laughter to how we're all feeling these days, whether it's like, or how we can be feeling at times, like overwhelmed, stressed out, brain fog. And I think in the age of information, like we're so lucky and blessed to have so much information now on our hormones. And at the same time, it can just feel like another stressful thing, like, okay, now what do I do? And so I'm really looking forward to delving into this because you're such an expert in hormones and really having the listeners walk away with just like maybe even a bit of an exhale, like, I could do this. I can swallow this information. This isn't really heavy, right? This is really light and joyful and easy. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you.
Oh, I love that, Melissa. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we get to, traverse this beautiful transition, of perimenopause or into midlife. And I don't exactly know how, kind of what the age group of all of your ladies are. But we get to, I think that we deserve the levity. We also deserve the wins. I am always looking for the win. I'm like, okay, hook me up with a win. And so I'm really big in like stacking habits and self-care for the win. Because I will say in my own personal experience as a mom and a partner and a business owner and all the things, navigating family dynamics and whatnot, that I'm always like, I'll take the win where I can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And an easy win is always so good.
Yeah, always the easy win.
Well, I know you've got a really cool story, and I always love when people have a story behind why they're doing what they're doing, because I always say, like, when we're helping people with the systems that we didn't have or that we needed, there's a fire under our belly to make this simplified for people because we didn't have it and we needed it, right? And so I want you to share that. But before you even do that, I would love to know, like, in every woman you work with, or even in every woman listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, like, what is, if you had one goal or one vision for them from this conversation or from your time with them, what would that be?
Number one, that they feel worthy of feeling amazing, that they feel worthy of wellness and a high standard of care, that they choose them in a world that has conditioned them to choose everything and everyone else.
So
that
good.
would be it.
So good. Yeah. I know we both have, our foundation is as a chiropractor, and I know you've gone really head into the functional medicine space. And I just think, like, I'm curious your thoughts on this, but my training as a chiropractor is so reminding me of how important that is. It's like, I love to tell women, make decisions based on what feels good in your nervous system, what aligns with your values, and what your intuition or your inner voice is telling you. Because I think, as chiropractors, we honor the body. We know how beautiful and miraculous it is. And when we just stop listening to, like you said, all the voices of everybody else, and we just take steps towards what works for us, like our entire lives can change.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think particularly women, who I serve, I always say I serve everybody by serving women. There's a deep intuition about our knowing our bodies. And if anything, that's been suppressed, been told not to know our bodies. And there's so much evidence, years and years, decades and decades, generations of, turning off our cycle or not breastfeeding. Like that was a thing, at one point. I wasn't breastfed because you didn't do that. This is like in 79, for goodness sakes. And so just been conditioned for us to not trust our bodies. And not really honor the intuition and the wisdom of our bodies. And I'm so excited that we are stepping closer and further back into that trust. So I'm always trying to check in with my body, doing body scans, just kind of really. The default is just to kind of persevere and press through no matter what. And so there's always this little, kind of writing that line. But ultimately, when I tap into what my body is telling me, that wisdom is just so deep, and it rarely steers me wrong.
Let's go there a little bit. How do you know? So like if a woman's listening to this and she's like, that all sounds great. I don't even know I don't even remember what feels right in my body. Like, tell me how you walk through that process as if it were new to you again. I'm sure you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I'll step into what it felt like when I didn't listen initially. So maybe it can resonate. Mm-hmm. You felt, from as early as I can remember, I was racing towards something, away from something. I don't exactly know, trauma, and I never listened to my body. I distinctly remember, I always joke that everybody loves day 12 us, even us, high follicular, high estrogen, sorry, cycles, ladies, high follicular, high estrogen us, right? We're the most, loving and connected and outgoing and vibrant. And we can really push to the max when we have that estradiol peak about a couple days prior to ovulation. And I think I always thought, I'm like, oh, that's how we should always feel all the time. And so when I would get to like day 25, day 26, right before my cycle, I always believed that, you got to really push it all the time, everywhere, especially in the gym. So like no pain, no gain. That was kind of always my mindset when I was growing up. And I would get to like day 26, day 27, and I would just beat myself up about like why can't I do the things I was doing 10 days ago or a week and a half ago. And even though my body was like, today ain't the day, girl. It's not the day to do this. I was like, I don't care. We're doing it. It's going to be messy and sloppy and it's not going to be great. And it was the worst. And, my body was like, let's stop. And I would not listen. And I really paid the price for that. Over time, your body wears down. You're talking about you're stealing from yourself to get the job done. And so by the time I was 30 years old, I had severe chronic fatigue issues. I had really bad inflammation, insulin resistance, and it was just I had just pushed myself so hard for so long that eventually my body just gave. And when I was trying to identify, well, what happened? As a practitioner, I'm like, very prescriptive. I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out the protocol and all the things. And I just found myself overdoing all the things that I found myself doing the same thing I had been doing to get me there, just a different flavor, and now I was overdoing wellness. And yet I kept finding myself back on the floor. And I was like, how is it that I'm still back here again? And I was like, it's how you do it. It's how you're doing it, Mariza. I used to always say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And literally, that's how I did myself into the ground. I just didn't listen to my body when my body was really even screaming at me. And so it was in that journey. It probably took me a good 5 years to figure it out, Melissa. And I was like, oh, it's how I'm doing all of it. It's the way that I think about it. It's the belief around it, that I have to push myself to the max, even in this wellness journey, even these protocols. And it was once when I finally realized I needed to be attuned to myself. And that was, I'm not going to pretend like I figured this out on my own. Like it was a lot of therapy. It was a lot of getting called out. It was a lot of your beliefs are driving you. or your trauma is driving you, something is, and then realizing like I had turned off that wisdom, or I stopped listening to that. And when I started attuning myself to it, which I will say is very intentional today, because I can default back into the overdoing so fast. My wiring, my operating system is overdoing, wants to overdo. And so it is an intentional attuning into my body and listening to my body. For example, I woke up today. I had a sore throat when I woke up. I also felt the inkling of a migraine. And I had a grand plan for this morning, getting up super early, going to the gym. Like I had already, I had everything laid out. I always talk about setting your future self up for success. So my clothes were laid out, my protein coffee's in the fridge. Like I'm ready. Like my electrolytes and everything is in the kitchen, ready to go. And I woke up and I was like, this isn't what I imagined. And so I slept in until 7:30, until my son came in to cuddle with me. And instead of doing any of that this morning, I took a walk. And it's going to be a much slower day today than what I had planned. And mind you, these were some pretty big signals from my body that we are not doing the things. But sometimes they're very subtle signals where I just don't feel, I don't have the energy. And yes, there's this fine line between excuses, and listening to your body and honoring your body. And so we kind of got to figure that out for each and ourselves in that journey. But it was a very clear signal today that today was not the day to push, whether I wanted to or not.
Yeah, that's so important. And I think most of my listeners probably wouldn't do the excuse thing. And so I want to walk through your process, because I think a lot of these women listening also do struggle. Like I visualize two paths, right? This is kind of like the way that I'm, as you're sharing your conversation, it's like there's the path that was the old path of overdoing.
Yeah.
So you woke up and you had this plan, and I want women to create this path in their mind for their lives. So like you wake up and you've got this plan, or you're supposed to go to this thing on Friday night, right? There's the thing that we're supposed to do, we plan to do, we should do, and that's the one path. We'll have it be like the path on the left, and we're visualizing the fork
in the road.
The fork in the road, because the fork in the road is where we take back our power. It's where we consciously make a choice instead of just subconsciously doing what we should or what we're supposed to. And this is, in my opinion, I wonder if you agree, as a hormonal expert, if women walked away from this conversation with this one thing, I think this has the ability to regulate our hormones, because it changes everything.
It changes everything, especially in this time. If we're talking to midlife women, it is a perpetual fork in the road at all times. You're choosing one path or you're choosing the other. You're choosing health span versus, burnout.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to.
And I think, you and I are a huge fan of community, and this is where community is so important. And so let's create a community conversation in this moment. When we're at that fork in the road and we are carving the new path, I don't want anyone hearing this to think like that it's just easy peasy. I want them to hear, like, what do we actually have to not even get over? Like, I don't want to get over the ego voice or that voice telling us the old path. Like, how do we team up with and work together with all that we're hearing on the inside as we carve this new path? So like, my specific question to you today, as you change your day, like, are there thoughts that come up that are trying to pull you back into the old way? Is there self-judgment? Is there criticism? Okay. So that's the flex I think we talk about, because this is what we have to practice every day. It's a muscle, and we all are experiencing it. And if we sat here and we're like, oh, just carve the new path, it's easy, and a woman goes and tries to do it, and then she's going to see herself as a failure yet again, right? Like we do. Like if we don't have ovulation energy through the entire month, we're judging ourselves like something's wrong. So these are my favorite kind of conversations, because we're all experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, I think, for me in that moment, waking up today, couple things, and you, like, a lot of things are coming into your mind, especially as a mom. It's about, there are priorities as a mom today that are non-negotiable to me. One, cuddling with my son. I also thought, oh, what a blessing that I'm not even, my son's favorite thing in the whole world is to wake up. He sleeps with my husband, and to come in my room, and I'm there in bed, and he gets to cuddle and all the, there's no plan, there's no time. He just gets to cuddle. Like obviously preschool is happening and things are happening, right? But and so in my heart, I was like, oh, this is going to be. I'm going to get to be here. And I am many of the mornings. I try to be back in the room and to cuddle with him. So there was that, and then as I was renegotiating my day and what felt in alignment to me, like what was going to help me show up to be the best version of me today for you, for him. And I was leaning into, okay, a more restful, more self-care day. That didn't mean a lack of movement or a lack of the things that I know really support me. It just meant a rearranging of things that really felt more and aligned with what I had capacity for. I still get to get him ready in the morning, which was a fun adventure this morning. I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't. He was late for school. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, fun being sarcastic.
Oh yeah. It was. I cannot tell you how many pant changes we had this morning.
It's like
they just weren't the right color.
When you're just not feeling good, you're like, can't everyone just be easy today? Like those are the days.
Can't those pants just be the good pants? Can't we just land with those pants? So we changed pants 3 times. And so yeah, it was all these things, right? And then and knowing that I had this interview at 10, I took a walk to the beach and back, but I sent voice memos to my besties in that walk, and that felt so good. And then Kingston has a little performance at 4:00 tonight with his classes at a beautiful park, and so that's happening. And so I was like, okay, how do I ensure that I have the energy and capacity, and that I show up the way that I want to show up for my family and for you and for the things I do? Like, what does that look like so that I am fully present and I feel very resourced? That means just kind of recalibrating what I think the day is going to be. And so I took in what the priorities were, the things that matter to me, the things that I really was like, these are mad, they bring me joy. This is how I want to show up in the world in these moments. Okay, so how do I reconcile the rest of my day to really align with that feels good? And so that was kind of my thought process at my fork in the road this morning. Again, I think it's often it's discernment and it's a recalibration of, and it really, for me, it's an alignment with values of who I want to be and how I want to feel in those moments. And the other question I ask myself is like, what would I love? What would I love feeling this week? Waking up the way that I feel today, what would I love? And then aligning into that and reworking my schedule. And I will say that I have a very privileged schedule, as a business owner and a woman with a really beautiful team behind me. Today was the only big thing outside of motherhood that I was doing today. Are there a lot of other things to be doing? Absolutely. Lots of other things to be doing. But like I could carve out a couple hours if I really needed to today just to take care of me if need be.
Yeah, I love that. And I hear something so powerful in that. I hear you auditing the questions that you're asking yourself. And I talk to my listeners about this a lot because that question, I think as a woman, we often ask ourselves, whether out loud or consciously or subconsciously, is how do I need to show up for this event? How do I need to show up for my son, my partner, my work? I heard you asking almost even like before that or with that, how do I need to show up for me? What would I love? Right? And so this is like one of the most powerful steps in the fork in the road is like start to get really aware of the questions we're asking ourselves and make sure that our needs are in there. Right? We grab our phone. And I think a lot of us, if people can just create an awareness around this today, every time you grab your phone in the quiet space, what question are you asking yourself? It's usually, who needs me? Where am I behind? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, no wonder we're frazzled and burnt out. And so just creating that new pathway, right? I think about like from the neurological perspective, carving that new path at the fork in the road where we are like stopping in our tracks and being like, what do I need? And yes, like you said, you have a lot of control of your schedule. And the reality is a lot of us have way more control of these micro moments than we give ourselves credit for.
Agreed.
It takes a second to change the question that you're asking. And every question we ask ourselves, we will find the answer to. So what answers did you find when you asked yourselves today, what would I love?
Reading my newest romantic fantasy book. No, I'm just kidding.
You love books.
No, but there is. It is. I've got a new book, girl, and it arrived yesterday via Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. And so, yeah, I mean, part of me, I'm going to, I do get to pick up my son from his nature school today and get the biggest, there's nothing better than him. I'm usually there early because I take a walk. He's at a lagoon. So I get there 15 minutes early and I walk at the lagoon by myself, and there are wildflowers everywhere, orange and violet and like bright purples, light purples, lavender, and these beautiful big yellow daisies. And so I'm going to get to be, and eucalyptus trees that tower over me that are just, they just smell so yummy. So I'm going to get that walk probably a little bit early. Sometimes I get there 30 minutes early. So I'm really get to indulge in this beautiful nature walk. And then I'm there early. So then when my son sees me, he races as fast as he humanly can to me, because I'm there, and I just get the, oh, it's the best. It's the best. It's
And
so
you're
good.
also, you're there and you're present. I know you got to interview, I saw Conscious Mommy. I had her on my podcast
Oh
too.
yeah, yes,
And
Brianna.
yeah, Brianna. And it's almost like the people who designed your school had conscious parenting in mind. Like, let me just put this beautiful walk for parents to like get into their body before they greet their children. Because your son could do that. And if you were like spinning from your day, serving anything and everyone else, like it's not the same interaction.
Yeah, no, I am very fully present in that moment. Yeah, and I will be, probably, I mean, not that there aren't parents who are doing it, you know, I love to build my life around movement, but movement in nature. And that is a joy, that's a joy trigger for me, and awe and wonder, especially at spring. It's so beautiful. It's wildflower. It's just, in those moments when I'm walking and I'm looking at the wildflowers, I have a mantra that I say, and it is, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Our brain is always looking, especially women, moms, we're always looking for something to solve, right? And so I'll be in this moment and I'm like, nothing's wrong. And I love this, one of my favorite mantras.
I love that. I'm going to borrow that one.
Yes, please. Everybody. Because it's amazing how quickly our brains are like, find something that's wrong, find something you have to solve, find something that you got to figure out right now. There's always something all the time, right? You grab your phone, like you said, and believe me, there's somebody looking for you in there.
100%. And there's something wrong in your house, right? If we walk into our house with that, it's like, where's the mess? What am I supposed to do? Like these are such powerful takeaways. These are like things that sound so subtle that you could so easily brush them over. But like these are I feel like the greatest health harmonizing tips out there. They're free. They take very little time. And this is how we change the game in our health. Would you agree?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the 15 minutes, before pickup. It could be 5. If I even have 5, I'll take it, and I try to be like, today I'll be more intentional. But so later today, like I said, I'm mostly just working. I can work wherever. And so there's a beautiful cafe down the street from my house. It's I'm right at the beach. It's called Nectarine Grove. If you're ever in Encinitas, it's a celiac friendly facility. It's a bakery and a restaurant, and they do smoothies, and they make the most delicious organic cashew matcha. And so I'm going to go with my computer and I'm going to order a sexy matcha, and I'm going to get my son a little mini cupcake from there, because it's all like, it's seed oil free. It's all the things free. It's not sugar free. It's not sugar free, gluten free, dairy free, the whole thing. And so I'll buy him a little treat, because he's got his little thing tonight, right, that I want to celebrate. And I'm going to sit and for probably 30 to 45 minutes towards the end, before I go and snatch his little cutie pie self up and get him up in the car, I am going to read my book. So I'm going to take my book with me, and at some point I'm going to shut that computer off, and I'm going to read, and then I'm going to walk home, because it's a 7-minute walk from my house, and then I'm going to snatch up my son and take him to his little performance at San Diego Park. This will be so cute.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about books a little bit, because we both have a love of books. I know we're like
books.
geeking out on our audio messages to each other. Why do you love a book? What does a book do for your soul, for your nervous system? Why do you have it before you pick up your son?
I'll share. So when I was 11 years old, I emancipated from my mom, and I moved in with my dad and his wife. His wife hated me. I didn't really know that at the time. I didn't really fully know it until I moved. Our whole life, they had been together since I was 4, and I would say, it's so funny in hindsight, like she wouldn't come out of her room when we would be there, my sister and I, when we would stay with my dad. When, back in the day, like the 80s divorce agreement or child agreement was like, you see your father every second weekend or every weekend. For us, it was every second weekend. And I didn't realize that we never saw this woman. And so when I finally moved into their house, I had a stepbrother who was like a straight A, B student. I was a C and D and F student. I was not a good student. I just did not do well in school. And that shifted, don't you worry. But I moved in there with the hope. They had a lot of discipline and structure. It felt safe in some instances. In the other environment I was in, not very safe, very unstable. I have a very hyper-vigilant system because of that I'm always calming down. And so when I moved there, they sat me down and they're like, listen, we don't have any aspirations for you. We don't think you're going to turn into anything. We don't care if you get good grades. We just want you to behave. And coming from a place that was so unstructured, I really had a hard time. And I thought that they didn't mean it. And a year goes by, I'm heading into seventh grade, and I realized that eighth grade, and they meant it. They gave zero F's about what happened to me. They just wanted me to behave. And I remember sitting in my room, heading into eighth grade, thinking, I got to figure this out. I gotta carve a space for myself. Like, I don't think they care if I go to college or do anything. I think they mean it. And I remember having this conversation with myself, and I thought, well, you've got to figure this out. You got to turn this around, or like no one's betting on you, and no one's coming to save you, girl. And I said, okay, I'm gonna get this figured out. I'm gonna turn this around. I'm gonna find out how to become top of my class. And then I asked myself, well, then how do you do that? Like, I've never done that. And the answer was, you read your way out of this situation. You read your way out. And I did. Reading saved my life. I read myself into honors. I read myself into straight A's. I read myself into top of the class in high school. I read myself into 5 full academic scholarships to college. I read myself out of that place. And so
I adore you even more now. It's so cool. That fire. I love that fire.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. My little 13-year-old self drove the bus for a very long time. She was like, no one's ever going to come to save you. I mean, she was just running for her life into my 30s. And, a lot of accolades to boot. And then, so I read and read and read. I sometimes read a 400-page book a day. I became a speed reader. I don't even know how many books I read back then. And I read myself into becoming an author. And so I just finished book number 9 that's being published in October this year, October 21st. It's called The Perimenopause Revolution. But for about a decade, I was only reading personal development and health books. And in 2023, I had 2 big concussions that led to post-concussion syndrome. And I didn't think my brain was going to heal. I was up until last year, I averaged 10 to 15 migraines a month. And I thought, this is no way for anyone to live. I didn't even know that level of pain all the time. And to be the kind of mom I wanted to be. Kind of at my worst place, we had mold too last year, and it was the brain and mold and the whole thing. We had a massive remodel, which was like a 6-month remodel. And I remember in the middle of that remodel, I was like, I just need to escape from this. And I remember in Audible we had, and most of my Audible was, books, Michael Pollan, or they were, Gabrielle Bernstein, or, all the, The Alchemist, all these personal, every Dr. Joe Dispenza book. And, the list is all personal development for my husband and I. But at one point he bought the book Dune, and I had never read Dune. There's movies are out, and Dune 2 was coming out, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to that. And honestly, it wasn't my favorite.
I don't know what that book is.
It's and it doesn't matter. It's a fiction book. It's very popular. And I finished Dune, and I was like, you know what? I felt a little bit better. This was last April. This was a year ago. And I was like, I want to know, what is the #1 fiction book right now? Because I had no idea. And I looked on Amazon, and I looked for the fiction book that had the most reviews, and it was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
I've heard a lot of this book. People love
And
it.
it was dragon riders. I was like, I like dragons. I read all the Game of Thrones books. Like, I'm okay, I'm down. And I think that was the last fiction series I had read was maybe Game of Thrones. I had read a lot of standalones, literature books, like Oprah's book club kind of a thing. I think the last fiction book I had read was American Dirt. I think that was on her list, like back in 2020 or something, 2019. And so I was like, saddle up. We're doing Fourth Wing. I had no idea what I was walking into. I had no idea that it was high romantic fantasy. I had no idea. And that was my gateway drug. I have now consumed over 200 fantasy books since April of 2024.
I love
And
it.
I can list top book boyfriends. I can give you, if you want a different, like whatever, want to know a book that's plotting, a book that's yearning, you want to know the biggest shadow daddy out there, like I can tell you, like I know all of them.
I so see Matilda. Have you seen the movie Matilda?
I have seen
Oh my
Matilda.
God. I so see Matilda. And then I see like
Oh,
a healed version of you allowing yourself to go over into the fiction.
yeah. No, it
That,
changed my life. And now I have all these book besties, a book bestie. I've got what I call my Roman Empire, the book that I have to make everybody, the series that I'm like, you have to read this, which is Red Rising. I'm just out there. I'm out there. And it's so funny because my through line, I mean, every event that I go to, every community event that I go to, because I love community, I love connecting, and there's midlife women. Everyone's talking about ACOTAR. Everyone's talking about Fourth Wing. It's hilarious. I'm like, there is this. I joke that it's the new midlife crisis. Is reading these fantasy books because none of us are trying to cheat on our, you know what I'm saying, or no one's buying the fancy car. Like, what's the new
yeah.
midlife crisis? I'm like, it's romantic fantasy. I'm 45. Look at me. And so and I love reading these books with my friends. And I was telling you that I'm feeling so called to have a perimenopause book club where it's mostly romantic fantasy. It's mostly fiction, but also personal development too, you know? I was listening to Mel Robbins. She has an episode called The 4 Books That'll Change Your Life. And I had seen a clip on her page, and she was holding up A Court in Mist and Fury, which is the second book in ACOTAR, which is the book. Any of you listening, if you've read you have to read the first one, but then you get to the second, and you're just like, oh, this is why I'm here. And so she's holding this, and it was the inspiration for the Let Them Theory book cover.
Oh,
Is A
wow.
Court in Mist and Fury because it's blue and yellow. Oh, it's a green and yellow. It's like a greenish yellow, and that's why they were so inspired by this book
Oh, that's
that
so cool.
they.
I didn't know the backstory behind that.
I didn't either until I listened, but I was like, 'cause I was so intrigued. I had to listen to this episode mainly because I knew she featured Sarah J. Maas, and I was like, if there wasn't millions of women reading this series or her books, I mean, Mel just brought her to the brink, anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Cracks me
and
up.
I mean, you're totally onto something. Like I
Yeah.
pour all the way into that. I mean, a book club for women based on fiction and perimenopause. And I'm even like, oh my God, Encinitas is such a beautiful area. We need to do like a book event together. It'd be so fun.
Yes. Oh my
We'll
gosh.
pull our
Yes.
women together because I feel like we have a love of books and we have a love of different books and some overlap.
Yeah.
And I could tell we would have a lot of fun. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
plant
I
that
I
seed in
will
the
I
universe.
can't go back. Like I don't want this to end for me, at all.
So let's talk about like
Yeah.
what does a book actually mean? Like, do you think it's an escape from your life, or do you think it grounds you in your life?
I think it's
Or
a yes
both?
and.
Yeah.
It's a yes and. I'm a big yes and girl.
I love it.
It's a both. And it initially started as an escape, and it's such a beautiful escape, but also grounding, and then also community. Like one of my voice memos to one of my besties was like, "Okay, where are you?" And because she's reading a series that I'm just like, I need a. I'm right. I'm living. I told her. What did I say to her? I was like, if I could go back and be you and reading this series for the first time, I would. I was like, if I could just go back, knowing that this was going to be the series of the series, like of all the series I've ever read, I was like, you got to just keep updating me. Where are you in the book series? And so I was sending her a message. I'm like, okay, I know you're at the final part of this first trilogy. Where are you in it? Let me know.
It's a great book when you wish you could read it again
Oh
with
my gosh.
like
If I could just, yeah,
virgin mind.
virgin ears.
Yeah.
I would in a heartbeat. Yeah.
So it's an escape and a check-in. How is it a check-in? I would agree. I want to know your brain here on this.
I mean, it's an opportunity to be present. It's a beautiful self-care hack. So I read, I do Audible, and I read, and the read. Oh, I always say it is the ultimate luxury to read a book. I read it in the sauna. I go and read them at cafes. I read them in book. I read them in my bed before I go to bed at night. And so it calms my nervous system. I just feel fully present, and it just feels good. Like it is one of my number one. I always tell women to create a joy list. You know, first, things that are completely free, that you love, that just, you know, I think about joy of just like the punctuation of awe and wonder and just like that giddy, yummy feeling. And then things that cost a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, like flowers in your kitchen. You know, you bought this beautiful bouquet for yourself, or that sexy matcha at your favorite cafe, or a brand new romantic fantasy book like Quicksilver or When the Moon Hatched or whatever it may be. Like you're just like, oh, the book is here. Like I can't wait to get into like something that's just going to devastate you. You know what I'm saying? Or that's got like, oh, the yearning, that romance.
Like sexy,
yeah, yes, yeah. Oh, you're just like, star-crossed lovers. Is it gonna work out? You know, so whatever those things are, you know, or so I one of the things that are on my joy list always are the books, you know, the little $15 book that's going to just send me into another world. But then the free thing is like, you know, walking that beautiful little walk with the wildflowers before I pick up my son. And technically I'm paying for that preschool. So I'm paying for that walk. But you know what I mean?
Probably a lot of money for them.
That walk ain't free,
At
actually.
least you're taking advantage of it, though.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I love it. You know, you think about it though, like how many escapes are we yearning for in our busy lives that don't make us feel good?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, the phone. Oh my God.
The phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So many things that do not feel good, you know, that just put a lot more anxiety and stuff on our plate. And so, yeah, that's what I think reading's always been like at my core. I was meant to be a reader.
A writer. Too.
Yeah, and a writer. Yeah, I always say I just vomit words on paper, but I have beautiful editors that clean things up for me on my side, you know. But I always think of myself as a reader first and foremost. And one of the things that are very cherished in our family is reading to our son. There has never been a day since he was born that we haven't read to our son. Not one day, never. And you know. No, it's never happened. It is such a tradition in our home. He usually gets he can squeeze about 4 books out of us a night. So usually three at the. I mean, like Dad and I will be like, okay, this is the third, like it's bedtime, and he's just like, but come on, a short book. So there's always this negotiation between how long a book is going to be. But I want my son to just relish in story and books and time and presence and connection. It is such a value for us in our household.
It's such a gift to him. I mean, I think we all grapple with this in the age of like digital stuff with our children, and we're all doing the best we can. But that's clearly one of your non-negotiable values as a family. And I think one of the greatest gifts we can give our children is to be bored, because it sparks their imagination, and so does reading. Like to let them create the imagery instead of constantly coming at them. And I mean, I'm sure, as you know, as a chiropractor, and like part of why I love women accessing books is that movement of your eye across the page. Yeah. Like you're getting the gift as well. You're activating the part of your brain that
who needs EMDR?
Who needs EMDR? Yeah. Who needs anything? Who needs binaural beats? Who needs all these like biohacks that I love? I mean, my pump mat is right there, but like,
yeah, no, yes, again, yes, and, but yes.
Yes, and.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we should probably talk a bit about hormones now.
Sure, we can talk about hormones. I mean, but here's the thing. Hormones are messengers that are doing the best they can with what they got in the moment that they're in. They are literally responding to you in life. I mean, let's just call it. Okay. They're doing, I mean, ultimately in peri, they are going to be erratically declining, and how dare they, but at the end of the day, when we think about all of our hormones, they're in response to life. And so I know we're so quick to want to blame hormones, or to want to be like, the hormones. And I'm like, yeah, but they're just trying to clean up the mess. Okay. They're just trying to clean up what's going on.
The bus.
We are with our behavior and our habits and the things that we're putting into our bodies and our exposures. And they're just navigating all of that. And so I think in the conversation we've had, Melissa, it's about the habits and about the intentions and about the things that we are choosing to do. Again, it started, this conversation was like, how do you choose you? How do you choose the things that are going to fuel you? Because it's always going to have that ripple effect. Women are always like, yeah, but again, if society has taught us everything and everyone else, let me tell you, by choosing you, if you need that level of motivation or inspiration, by choosing you do those other things better. You show up even better. And I think that's the big lie that's been perpetuated, is that, you only always choose yourself. Think about your mom. Think about your mother-in-law. Think about the people in your life, the women in your life you've seen burn themselves into the ground because they've only other chose everybody else, because that was the only narrative that was allowed to be shared in those generations. And you're seeing it play out now that they're in their 60s and their 70s. And you're just like, I look at that and I'm like, that's not what I want. And then it's not how I even want to show up. And so just note that all the things that we've been talking about, romantic fantasy aside, it's those choices that allow us. Yeah. I mean, just saying, those are the things that allow, I'm going to tell you, my hormones love them some romantic fantasy. Okay. Like they love the self-care. They love those walks. They love me checking in with me, doing body scans, finding what is really going to create joy, because through that, I have better equilibrium. Through that, I have better homeostasis. Through that, I have happier, more optimized hormones.
Yeah. Well, and you said at the beginning, you serve everyone through serving your women. And I think you just touched on that. But I imagine as you're working with a client, that's something that you're reminding them often. So tell us a little bit more, go a little bit deeper with that one. Here's what I'll say first.
Yeah,
for a
please.
woman listening who maybe has a really hard time saying no to other people because she thinks it's selfish. Mariza and I, one of the things we have in common is we got really sick. And so if you don't yet have the conviction to fully understand that you will not only not be able to take care of the people around you, you will become a burden to them.
I was going to say, yes.
We have lived that. So please borrow our conviction, because taking care of ourselves is ultimately one of the least selfish things you can do, because it allows us to serve everyone at a very high level.
Exactly. I always say that the most selfish you'll ever be is when you're sick, because you don't have capacity for anything else. When I was, and it comes in a lot of forms, I'll go back to kind of my defining reckoning moment. I've had many, but when I got hit in the head twice back to back within a 2-week period and spiraled into some really serious post-concussion syndromes. And there was moments where I didn't think I was going to recover my brain. I couldn't shower. I couldn't drive the car. I could not get my son ready in the morning. I couldn't do any of it. And I was just in my room, in a dark room, praying to heal. And I remember in those dark moments, especially in that kind of really dark 3 weeks where I was like, oh, this can go one way or the other. I remember thinking my everything in my life, including motherhood, hinges on how vibrant and healthy I am. Because right now I can't do any of it. And I was so grateful to have a partner who really stepped in because there was no try. I wasn't reading with my son at night. I wasn't laying with my son at night. I wasn't able to do anything. I remember having a 14-day migraine until finally we had to rush me to the ER to break that cycle with some heavier drugs, and get a CT scan and all that. But it was in that moment. I had never been that hurt or that injured or that unwell. And I was just like, oh my gosh, everything in my life has halted, in my ability to show up, because I have to just wait until my brain comes back online. And I think that was such a defining moment for me of like, if I don't take care of me, I'm not going to recover. I'm not going to ever be who I thought I was going to be. I'm not going to ever be able to show up the way that I want to show up. And it was such a hard, it was not even, actually, it was such an easy decision because it was the only decision to make. But I'll never forget that time ever in that healing journey because everything hinged on me needing to take care of me. I was in brain treatments 5 hours a day, like everything. I was in hyperbaric 90 minutes a day for months and just to get my brain back. And so, yeah, and I think sometimes we think, when we're sacrificing ourselves and we're not putting ourselves first and we're not doing the things that are going to fuel us, we still think we're kind of showing up. But we're really, is it the version of you that you really want to show up? Is that aligning to your values? And not to make anyone feel guilty, but is that how you thought you were going to show up? Like, is that the best you got in terms of taking care of you for other people? Yeah. And so I always align that back to my value of like, what does it mean for me to fully show up? And it's always for me to fully choose and prioritize myself first, always.
I love it. It's so important. I think that's like one of the most important full circle aspects of this whole conversation.
And we deserve it. Mm-hmm. God, showing up crappy because it's all you got, it does not feel good at all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you feel guilty.
And then you feel guilty.
And then you feel guilty.
And then that cycle.
It's just it's vicious.
Why are we doing this? And I think I see a movement happening. I don't know if it's just because I'm in it and I'm staring at it head on, and I hope I'm one of the people helping to lead it. And clearly you are as well. I think we're all linking arm in arm. But like, I almost feel like people don't realize how easy it can be and how powerful these things are. Like we've tried the other way. It's not working. The overdoing isn't working.
No, it's not working. No.
So like, why not? Why not grab a book? Grab a book, read with us. Put your feet up, do your nature walk at the school that you're paying for.
Exactly.
Like, let's let these be the homework when you're thinking about, let me run my functional hormonal patterns and like, oh, what's going to come back? What supplements am I going to have to take? What am I going to have to do? Yes, all those things. And can we put a little bit more power into this stuff?
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to tap into the community aspect of things. When I was writing this book, chapter, oh gosh, what is it? Is it chapter 8? I don't, one of those. It's community. And I will say that this particular journey, if we're talking about women in midlife, it can be the most isolating and the most lonely because you feel like your body is changing without permission. And you're just like, oh my God, is anyone going to notice? Is anyone going to see that I've dropped the ball here or there? And it can feel like no one's in it with you. The research is so clear that this is the time to double down on community. This is the time to connect with women that feel safe. This is the time to be with women in real life or in voice memos. I always say you want to know the ultimate longevity hack? The ultimate longevity hack is to walk with your besties, walk with your girls, movement and girls, talking about the books. You know what I'm saying? Like that's usually what I'm doing. I got my matcha. We stop by get matcha. We have a couple questions in the queue. We're talking about our books and we are walking is what we're doing. And I'm like if we can bottle this, oh my goodness. This is what's up. And the research is so clear in terms of longevity research is that community is what's going to keep us alive the longest, but not so much. I don't necessarily care about living longer. I care about feeling healthy and having the freedom to do what I want and not have to negotiate with myself for as long as possible. That's what I want. That's what I want for every woman. And how we do that is we spend time with the people that we love, doing the things that we love, and and ideally we are moving and connecting with the women that we love. Like I think that right there, the oxytocin boost, the lowered cortisol, the optimizing insulin, all of those things, like helping to support our brain and our muscle. I mean, that's where the juice is worth the squeeze.
Absolutely. Prescription pad written. permission to do all these fun things. All right, let's talk
Yes.
about your book. We're definitely going to be bringing your book into the Best Friends Book Nook.
Yes. When you said that, when you shared that with me, I got so giddy. I got
Oh
so
my
excited.
God. It's going to be amazing. Like, these are my favorite kinds of conversations. I think we all need more of this. So tell me about your latest book. You're also a Hay House author. It's so fun
Yes.
to watch you go through this because I'm like just a little bit steps behind. So exciting. So tell us about your book that's coming out in October, you said, right?
Yes, October 21st, 2025. I just said yes to the audio. I'm going to be doing the audio. And that was such a big, brave thing because I've always had other people read my books. And so I'm super excited about that. So, yes, the book is The Perimenopause Revolution. And it is truly, it's the book that I wanted heading into peri. It's the book that so many people I think are craving and needing. It is a movement. It is revolution is what it is. And so the book is really about really explaining initially, like, what is this perimenopause thing? What is this thing that no one was telling us about, that I feel like we've been gate kept? I think it's the reason why so many women resonate with my social. It's just like, come on, like, this has always been here and you just kept telling me that it was just aging. Like, I'm not settling for that anymore. And so it really lays it out. And I talk about perimenopause as a whole body experience, as a brain reorganization, a neuro transition that's happening as well. But I really paint the picture of the whole body because I want women to understand that it is a time of, it is a high stakes game. It is a fork in the road. It is a moment where if you haven't been prioritizing yourself, your body's like, listen, you don't have a choice anymore. You gotta take care of you at this point because, again, you can default like your mama and your grandma did, or you get to choose how you want to live this, right? And then there's pillars. So I lay out all the pillars, including community and emotional and mental well-being, and obviously, balance, optimizing blood sugar and metabolic health, all the pieces. And then part 3 is the plan, is a 5-week plan, including a whole big chapter on mindset and stepping into the unknown. Again, if you have been living a track of other people's expectations of what you thought you were supposed to do, I will tell you 40 is the reckoning that you've been waiting for, where you get to decide on your terms how you are going to live the next half of your life, because that is who you are becoming. And it is not too late to become who you are meant to be, to live your purpose, to live your dream, to live your joy. And that is what the mindset chapter is all about, of like, how do I step into my future self and how do I own it and how do I live it with the joy that I've always deserved. That's what the book is all about.
All the way, like rock star movement. I mean, I want women to follow what feels good in their nervous system. And if this woman does not feel good to your nervous system, I don't know who would. Like, this just feels so right. Everything you're talking about, your energy is palpable. I'm so excited to bring you into our community. We're going to link all your resources. You have an incredible website, so many great resources. Any last minute thoughts you want to leave with these beautiful women listening in on this conversation?
I would just say the last thing I want to say is that you are worth the extra mile. I want you to think about how you pour into your children, how you pour into your partner and your parents and your family and your friends. And I want you to think about giving yourself that same level of commitment that you give to everybody else, because you are worth it and you deserve it. You deserve the highest standard of care. You deserve people rooting for you, and you deserve to feel amazing. And don't ever let anyone say anything different.
I love it. I love it. You've got a pure knowing in that. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and soul and mind with us. And we'll see you soon.
Yay!
Thank you.